Hey. Hey, y'all. Dude, I don't know what's going on. It's just like super loud. I'm like sitting here trying to turn my headset down the entire time. Go ahead.
Hey, everybody's Neil the Dashly Gentleman. Hey, with me, I have Frank. Say hi, Frank.
Hi.
Sorry about that. I was muted the whole time. Professionalism.
You got, but just think about how cool it was. You got an intro twice.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't play the music a second time, which I might. Thinking about it.
So, definitely don't.
You don't know. You didn't. You didn't even
Definitely
hear
don't.
it.
Definitely don't.
Tonight, we are gonna talk about cultural appropriation. Tell them what that means, Frank.
So, like, the general gist of it is that you get, say, something like from Native American culture, like a headdress, and then somebody not Native American wears it. The end.
So, people are getting really mad about other races wearing their race's stuff. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, that's pretty much it. That's the general gist of it right now.
So, aren't we supposed to be like, as a country anyway, it's like intermingling and sharing our cultures and stuff?
That's the thing I don't get about cultural appropriation from an American standpoint, because as Americans, that's very difficult to conceptualize, given that we as a culture, our culture is multicultural,
Right?
because that was the whole idea of America, like a whole bunch of people seeking freedom of expression, etc., from free from persecution. So then you have all these different cultures all commingling together, and then they all have their own things. So America doesn't really have like our own centralized cultural upbringing. We have everybody else's.
Well, that's very true. I mean, we did we did put the Native Americans in their little little reservations.
Right.
I mean, totally fucked up. But we just kind of like took over and said, no, we'll give you this much land.
But I mean, but even so, like our culture was English. So like
Yes.
we are still English. So like we came over from England to be English here in America. So then we really still, if we went, but then by the context of America now being its own exclusive sovereign nation, and then we have like our own yeah, I'll say dialect, our own dialect of English. So then therefore like we're on our own culture at this point, but we have no cultural attire. Like the closest it would be something like probably like some like something like the Puritans wear. But I mean, like, who the fuck wants to wear that? Aside from the fact that it's incredibly hot and uncomfortable and stupid looking.
Right? I mean, I guess nowadays it would be something closer along the lines of overalls and flannel.
Right. I mean, you can wear like an NASCAR fire suit, but I mean, even overalls and flannel they're still not like. I mean, I was actually thinking about this while I was at work, because I read the article first thing this morning, so I had a long time to think about it. I mean, and without any meanness, they're literally, I cannot think of a single piece of clothing that is strictly American or American, like culturally American only. Like you have, like, so I guess like the history of this particular subject being brought up is that there was a girl. I know that Stephanie probably wanted to talk about this one earlier, but like there's a girl that wore a prom dress that was a Chinese dress, and a lot of people lit up this poor child's Twitter feed because she decided to post pictures of herself wearing this dress. I mean, and she looked great in it. Well done. It's a great dress. Cool. I appreciate that. I appreciate that you appreciate that. But then they're tearing her apart for cultural appropriation. The guy, some asshole says online, my culture is not your prom.
Yeah.
It actually is. That's the thing about America. I mean, like, every culture is our culture.
Right.
I mean, like, and I mean that is the beauty of it. But now we're in a weird place historically, like as Americans right now, because we have we want mutual inclusivity to every facet of American culture, unless you're white.
Right.
In which case, we don't want you to touch anything else. If you are American and you fall under that racial bracket, we want clearly defined racial barriers. Is what I'm getting from these articles, where these people are getting all nutty pissed off about it. I'm like, but it's just clothes.
I mean,
it's just a dress. I mean, I don't. I mean, like that's crazy to me.
that's something I agree and disagree on. It's not just that. I mean, if you talk to people of other races, I mean, I know like there's certain races that hate other races other than white people, like exclusively. It's like
absolutely
like Vietnamese people hate black people, or I'm just throwing out examples. I don't know, but it's like this isn't football. It's not like we're playing for the same team kind of thing. We're people.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you can choose not to be a Jets fan. You can't choose not to be Korean or
Right.
or Russian or whatever. I mean, whoops. Sorry guys, I didn't mean to roll Russian. I guess I'll just have to off myself.
Right.
I mean, it's like what do you do? I mean, you do nothing. I mean, and it's crazy that like the same people who scream and riot and throw things and break shit and set stuff on fire for this egalitarian utopia are the same people that are upset that someone wore a dress that happened to have like a cultural reference ? I mean, it goes back, there's nothing new under the sun. So you can literally never wear anything that has probably not been influenced by some other culture at some point.
I mean, that's how we thrive as the human race, is we share.
Right. So this idea of cultural appropriation and then bordering on racism, because this girl's being called a racist. And I'm like, no. I mean, if she said that this dress was stupid looking, you'd have more to stand on. But she's wearing it.
Right, like
she's actually wearing it, like for her final prom.
You wouldn't don an attire of somebody else's race and be like, "Oh, look at me, I'm an idiot." You don't do that shit. You do it because you appreciate, the style. You appreciate, the background for it, the everything that goes with it. You appreciate it, and for you to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna take this to prom," like it's no big deal, like. Oh, I'm gonna take this to fucking circus. No, it's your prom. It's something big. It's important.
She picked something really big, and she picked a really nice dress to essentially showcase this particular fashion style. And to me, that's fine. I mean, I guess like the real big difference between cultural appropriation and appreciation is the level of outrage. Because I mean, like it's also intent. I mean, like if like you because it sounds like something that like. I guess like a thing that would show up like in Jackass, but like if you went to like a Black Panther rally wearing like an African caftan, as a white person, and we're like shouting out a bunch of slogans, that's making fun of people.
Right.
That's cultural appropriation with intent to, I mean, it's not slander, but make fun of.
Be harmful in general, yeah.
Right. But I mean, like if you wear exact same thing with the intent of I enjoy this, I like this style, I like this look. I don't know, maybe it's just because I don't feel things can be culturally appropriated, generally speaking. I mean, like if you like it, then you like it. I mean, like if you don't like it and you're wearing it and you're just trying to be a douchebag about it, it's like it's not hard to figure out that you're just trying to be a douchebag about it.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty clear actually.
And even if you did, like, who the fuck cares? I mean, it's not like that dude on Twitter in his freaking computer chair or tweeting from his phone, just sitting there fucking eating his Cheetos is like, I originally, I was one of the founders of the Chinese race, so, you fucking just happened to be there, you were born there.
I'm a genetic forefather.
Yeah, it's like you have you don't get to speak for all Chinese people. You don't get to speak for your entire race, and that's what pisses me off. Is like you get these groups, you get these hate groups. They decide, hey, we don't like anybody else because they're all XYZ, you name it, label here, label there, and we're the
You get a
superior
label.
race,
You get a
whatever.
label.
And it's like, I don't agree with you. You don't get to speak for me. Like I read a response to that article, and it was a Chinese guy, and he's like, look, as a Chinese guy, I feel honored that that person would want to don something from my culture for something as important as their prom. Like,
Sure.
go. He's like, I thought this was fucking America. Like,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
mean, and that's the thing. I mean, like, as as an American culture, like I said, we have no specifically American attire. Stephanie says leggings and yoga pants, which two parts. One, I actually would unfortunately agree with that. Two, I God bless whoever made yoga pants. God bless you. You need to be canonized. You are a saint.
Yeah. Nice.
And she also thinks, I think part of the issue is the picture she took, as well as some of the questionable poses. Some people assume that they were making light of the culture from the poses in the group photo. Yeah, but who cares? I mean, like, okay, I mean, but how do you make light of an entire culture? I mean, like, how do you make light of an entire culture just by simply making like a pose for prom? I mean, unless like you were holding up signs, you know, I just can't imagine
Right.
like and moreover, she is one out of an entire group of people. I mean, do you like so then by extension, do you take like a giant, group photo of your construction worker company and the dude that's white way back in the back that happens to be starting dreads because he thinks that they're cool and convenient? Do you look at him and then you're like, he hates Africa. Right there. No, up to the front. We're shaving your head. I mean, how do you pick one person to represent an entire idea of what we're trying to say? You can't. I mean, there's a lot of supposition
Well,
in that single idea.
you just don't. I mean, that's the solution. But Kyle's saying, assuming that things for the right to be offended, hashtag welcome to 2018. It happens.
I wish it wasn't like that. I mean, it feels like it's gotten way worse.
It's gotten way worse because everybody has a fucking voice because of all the social media. But it happens on both sides. I mean, it doesn't happen. I'll be honest. It doesn't happen so much on the right because they're very specific about what they want. It happens with everybody else because I mean, it's just a struggle between both. It's like, hey, I feel like you're misrepresenting me, and it's like I ain't representing shit. Like I'm just doing my thing, and you're taking it as something personal, which check your ego,
Yeah, seriously. I mean, like, look, I'm a giant weeb. Like I'm huge. One could actually say that I could effectively be a representative of the otaku culture. I feel like when I bought my nudie body pillow, that was like my entry ticket into the depths, the real deep depths of otaku weeaboo culture. And if I see some kid wearing like a Naruto t-shirt selling drugs, I'm not like, no, you come here. You can't do that. You're ruining my entire culture just by you existing and doing whatever. I mean, I don't know. And to me, like that's not a thing.
No, it's armchair criticism. I'm gonna sit here, get you from afar. I don't like that. I'm gonna tell you why. Fuck off. Who are you?
I'm gonna make up a reason why I don't like that.
Stephanie says, but it's only specific cultures as well. A bunch of white Americans wear sombreros for Cinco de Mayo, and no one cries cultural appropriation.
They are now, though. They are now, though. I mean, like, they actually are. I mean, like, I just read this article where a doctor, Dr. Mahawade, who does cultural studies, shock, talks about how basically anybody whom is Caucasian who uses any other cultural reference in any of their activities is racist and in the wrong. Like this girl, for example, is by his definition, supernaturally racist because it's also subtle. And if you're part of a, like if you have a Cinco de Mayo party, if you have a Mexican party, if you have a get together and you're in a Greek chapter help me, frat house, and you wear like a toga, cultural appropriation. You can't be part of a Greek house and do anything that's vaguely Greek ? Even though you're called Phi Theta Kappa or the fuck there are now.
Right.
Pick a random Greek letter and let's go for it.
Well, I mean, it's everywhere, dude. And my thing is people are getting. Here we are. I mean, and I'm gonna say we're a little bit guilty of something as well, and saying that we're grouping these people, like the people that are mad, and it's like it's not they, it's that guy and maybe a couple people that agrees with him, or that chick, and it just somehow catches fire on Twitter for some reason. I think because of the audacity of it, because of how ridiculous it is, and people are on both sides. They're like, I'm gonna pick this side and go make some popcorn. It's like, I don't think that it's a huge deal until somebody's like, I wonder what kind of shit I can stir up today. Like, nobody would generally care until somebody's like, I don't like that. What do you guys think? You know what? Now that you say that,
I agree to an extent, mostly because I would like to believe that that's true, but I think that right now in the height of the nation that we live in, where there's this subtextual culture war that's being played out like almost nonstop in social media and in, I guess, traditional media, where people are being spoon-fed teeny tiny bits of information, and then we decided more or less on a whim or at random that this is super important and we need to crucify the people involved in it. And then they don't just pick a side, but it's like, why is this even being discussed? I mean, like, especially like as in this particular context, as multiculturalism has been the foundation of American society. Right. So then it's like, okay, so then you have somebody who is doing something that's Chinese flavored. Okay, great. The fact that that person has anything or is interested in anything that is Chinese flavored, it just kind of goes to show you, the overall interest that America has in other nations. Right. Even though like a lot of people decry like xenophobia like all at all times, but like I think a lot of people don't even really realize how deeply multiculturalism has affected America in a positive way. That's why whenever they're like, oh, we gotta get the Muslim ban. Nope. Goes against the founding principles of America. I strongly disagree. I disagree with the concept of it. So I mean, it's stuff like that where now for some reason we have like this, up until this point, we've been interested in including everyone, but now we want to go in the opposite direction. And I don't really know why, but then at the same time, you have this going on where we want to pick something minor and blow it up into something major, and it's nothing. It's truly a storm in a teacup. But then you have the various SJW groups picking up on it, and it's just another thing for them to run down the halls with their little tiki torches and start setting each other on fire over. Actually, that'd be kind of cool. I'd be okay with that.
I'd like to address what both Kyle and Stephanie said. Kyle says it's only going to get worse. Stephanie says it's not a huge deal. It's just the loudest the stream on both sides. The rest of everyone else in the middle is like, shut the hell up, please. You're not wrong. You're both not wrong. And I don't know where it's actually, like, where the tipping point is, because as far as social media is concerned, that's only getting bigger. I mean, people are getting more and more engaged in social media. Back in my day, we just had MySpace, but, now there's Facebook, there's fucking Twitter, there's Instagram, all this shit, and it's giving everybody a soapbox. And it's a combination of soapbox and anonymity. So,
sure, it's basically of the couch.
Yeah, it's basically saying, I can say whatever the fuck I want, and nothing bad's gonna happen to me, and that's not okay. I mean, there's a reason for consequences. I mean, you talk some shit against a certain person, certain group of people, you're gonna get your ass kicked. Why? Because you probably shouldn't have said that shit. I mean, there's a reason why before social media came around that it wasn't so bad. It's because people... Hold on, I'm lagging.
But Robot Neil is really cool, though. I think
And
he's
we're
gonna try to take over the
back.
world.
Sorry about that. Apparently I'm lagging. I thought it was Frank. Um,
Nope.
but yeah, there was a time when it was not so bad, and it's because you had to actually mind your P's and Q's. You had to think before you talked. You can't just jump on Twitter and say slavery was a choice. You know, shit like that. I mean, so yeah, it is gonna get worse, and I don't know when it's gonna come to a head. I don't know if it already has come to a head. I'm concerned, but I don't know. I mean, we as a human race, I mean, times have changed. So it's gonna be interesting and also heartbreaking to see how bad it gets. Steph says there's also a disconnect of human empathy because they're capable of hiding behind the screen, so they can be as rude and crude as they want to be. In open society, it's hidden, but it's bleeding over because more and more people are sharing those skewed views. Well, yeah, I mean, you get in what's called the echo chambers. You get one person with an idea. Usually it's somebody that has some sort of influence on Twitter or any of these places. And then people that like them, whether or not they agree, they like them. So they gotta agree with the message too. Otherwise, you can't like somebody you don't agree with. I mean, so then you get a group of people saying, yeah.
Not everybody can be me and Neil.
Yeah. Or I mean, you know, anybody that can think for themselves in general. I mean, you look at Kanye West, for example. Okay, he's he's imploding right now. Okay?
He's got a weird head.
The guy, like, I actually enjoyed his first couple of albums as a rapper, but he crazy.
His head looks like the bottom of an eggplant.
I don't know. I don't look at him that long enough to make.
I see him because he shows up because we have to use Internet Explorer at work. So like I have MSNBC, and every time I click on it, for the past couple of days he's been on it because he's a huge asshole. And I keep looking at him. I'm like, that guy's got a weird fucking head. I mean, he looks like he has like a thyroid problem.
Thyroid problem.
It does. I mean, because it looks like he got fat. Like his head, like just his head is fucking huge.
Okay, so empathy is dead in humanity. You will see a feel-good story 1 in every 75 on social media. Why? People feed off negativity. You're not wrong. Misery love company. I mean,
I don't think empathy is dead. I actually think that anymore. I don't think it's anymore. I don't think empathy as a human condition is any more detached than it was. 10, 15 years ago. Let's just say, for example, because that's when like the social media really started to take off 10, 15 years ago. Let's just say, but I think that the sensationalism of a not feel good story is unfortunately taking off, because like when you see like a thing of, you know, look at these puppies jumping in water and like nobody gives a shit, but then you see like, you know, this child got hit by 12 pieces of glass and was turned into a fricassee, you know, it's like, oh shit, you know, oh my god, I gotta look at that. And this, it gets you clicks. I mean, like, so until like we get to the point where we actually are able to, I guess, vet information or vet stories or make it so that, you know, we can put a limit on, I don't even know how you would do it, but some way, you know, I don't know. There's almost no way to do it just to without being able to infringing on freedom of the press, free speech, because I mean, people have the right or the ability to say whatever they want, even though it's douchebaggy.
Right. You see, that's kind of interesting too, because now that I think about it, between what you and Kyle just said, taking both views into consideration, you know, it's a cynical kind of thinking that's saying empathy is dead, but I can understand why you would say it. And then as far as Frank's concerned, it's a little bit of both. I mean, you think about how it was before the social media. I mean, you really only associated with people that were decent to your standards. So nowadays, you don't really have that much of a filter anymore. You can't just pick and choose what you see because shit comes up at you all the time. You know? I mean, back then, all we had was the news and what they wanted to show us. It wasn't the news plus all these assholes and their opinions on it. It was just the news. Right. So now we have that, and we can't avoid it unless we just turn off social media, which some people choose to do, and I kind of don't blame them. I've kind of gotten that way too, but it's kind of hard to promote our channel without using social media.
I literally only look at our Twitter feed.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's as social media as I get. I look at exactly what we have on our Twitter feed so that I can make posts about, you know, upcoming stuff that we're doing. And other than that, I don't use it. And it's for that exact reason, because like I get tired of, you know, it doesn't really matter who I had on my like I have Facebook. I mean, I still have Facebook because people communicate with me periodically on it. But I mean, you know, I'm not one of those guys that's like I'm so hipster that I don't even do social media.
No.
I mean, I don't on Facebook. No, I don't do that. No, I mean, like I have it, you know, and I use it for communicating with people that otherwise wouldn't be able to communicate with me in any other way.
Right.
But I mean, I don't scroll through the news feed anymore for that exact reason. And I have like, I don't think that I would ever be able to like unlike enough stuff to be able to get like a lot of that garbage out of there, because there are some people that I am regrettably on my friends list that can't help but feel compelled to constantly share negative shit like nonstop.
Right. And I feel the same way. Like and not only that, like you can't just detach from those people, because I won't lie, I got caught up in it too when I first got onto Facebook. I would get on my little soapbox and tell you how I felt about current events, but then I'm like, why though? Who cares? Who cares really? I mean, does it make me look like a good person in the end about how much I'm bitching about this? I'm like, how about we come up with solutions? You know, I started thinking about shit like that, but then I started looking at everybody else's stuff, and it was very similar, you know. And these people, like, these are close people to me. They're my friends, they're family, they're people that I genuinely care for, saying some really messed up shit that I want to just tell them they're wrong, but you don't want to start a feud with your family or your close friends. You don't want to fight somebody that already has their mind made up and is not willing to hear more than what they already feel is correct. And you can't just unfriend them because they'll get really pissed at you. You can't do it. I mean, you can, but you actually care about those people. So in caring for those people, you don't want to hurt their feelings. So what do? I just don't look at Facebook anymore. I don't. I really don't, because of all that. Because of all that. I mean, just because you can speak doesn't mean you should. Maybe you should leave it to the professionals sometime. Like, I mean, I know there's a lot of idiots out there in politics. I know there's a lot of idiots out there in the media. But how are you qualified? You know? Maybe show me some credentials about your journalistic abilities, or maybe show me some credentials as far as, you know, your skill in law, or, you know, any kind of politicking. No, you're just a dude on a couch watching the news, reading what people fucking spoon feed you. Alright, you know.
That was one of the things that one of the reasons why I ended up getting off of Facebook, because especially during the time whenever they were like, you know, oh, we're gonna rip down all the statues. I mean, I made the mistake of getting on there, and I just kind of like, well, I'm like, I was gonna flip through, and I see some people saying some just truly ignorant shit, and I'm like, okay, well, I feel compelled to make a response. The problem was that my response was also in the form of like an essay where I cited my sources, Stanford style, you know, and I kind of made my point, and I actually had sources to back it up with, and the guy was like, no, you're wrong. And I'm like, motherfucker, I just listed 4 history books, 4 bona fide collegiate history books that have multiple essays, theses based off them. What? You know what? Never mind. Turn it off. Turn it off. Just I'm done.
Walk away.
I mean, I just basically wrote you like, you know, a final essay for someone's PhD, and you just decide, you know, never mind. Forget it. I'm not gonna do it anymore. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, so that's yeah, I'll read that in a second. That's the cause. That's not the cause. That's the ability for it to spread like wildfire.
Sure.
And if, just like we said before on the previous podcast, like Merlin, Sam Neill and Merlin, just turn the other way, look away.
Just walk away. I mean, like, it's really just walk away. I mean, it's really that easy, and it's terrifying. I think what amuses me the most about the idea of just walking away from somebody's dumbass opinion is how much it actually seems to physically hurt them.
Right.
Because, like, you know, even if you let it be known, you know, like all right, I'm done. and then just don't say anything, nothing else about it. And they're going to sit there. I say they because most people tend to do this. They will continue to like try to like bait you back in the conversation, say a bunch of horrible shit, but just ignore it. And you know, it's tearing them apart on the inside. And it is glorious. Like people I used to work with, they used to try to like, race bait me into a whole bunch of like, really like super alt-righty kind of like conversations. And I'm like, that's an incredibly ignorant way to think and to live your life. But I mean, if you choose to do that, I mean, I can't stop you because I'm not going to like tell you how to live your life because that would be hypocritical to everything I hold dear. So you do you, and I'm just going to go. And I would leave, and they would just be like sitting in the room just yelling about like, well, we got the blah, 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 trying to get me to come back and defend my position. And I just wouldn't. And I would be working and they'd be yelling about it. And I could hear them all day trying to get me back in that room to talk about it. And I'm just not going to do it. I mean, like they were so butthurt all day about it.
It's not worth it. I mean, and that's the thing is they're not interested in what you think. They're interested in convincing you that they're right.
Right.
Every single time.
These are not the same thing. I mean, like what is correct and what is right are what someone's way of thinking and what is actually correct is not always the same. And it boggles my mind whenever somebody will settle for what is just their way of thinking versus what's actually correct.
Okay, Kyle, we'll talk about that. Let's gonna get to it. God. All right, so Stephanie says cultural appropriation is also not just restricted to race. Lately, I've been hearing about, say, redneck cultural appropriation. Here I am there's a huge thing about it because of people dressing and not actually living the lifestyle it was to be redneck. I mean, you're absolutely correct. It's whatever is believed to be correct in your area. I mean, you look at the South. You don't listen to country, drive a truck, and blah blah blah. I mean, people look at you differently. And back in Oklahoma, it was very interesting because we had a very small LGBT community there, okay? But they were very proud. They weren't like in your face proud about it. They were just, hey, this is who I am. The end, let's not talk about it, But the other people, the people that were straight and didn't agree with it, they were just fucking seething. Every chance they got, they would want to take shots at it, like, and these are decent people too. Like some of them were very close to me, and I really respected them. But every now and then, they would spout out something like, "These fucking gays." It's like, whoa, and it's like, why? What did he do to you? I mean, it's not right. It's shit like that, and it doesn't matter what the topic is. If you've got the group of people there that are just so narrow-minded, and their way of life or their collective way of life is where it's at, anything different is a threat to them, apparently. Why? I don't know. It's not like they're fucking waiting outside your house with a torch, like, just, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, I think a little bit of that stemmed from religion, especially, that's not right, blah, 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 whatever. But I won't go too deep into that. But it's not even really a trend. It's more of, this is how I was raised. This is how all the people I know are raised. You're an outsider. I don't trust you. Give him a chance. I mean, give the guy a benefit of the doubt. Yeah, keep your guard up, but be a dick.
Unless his name's Ponyboy, in which case you should feel free to beat him to death with sticks.
I want to
I mean, obviously kill Ponyboy is what I'm saying, because he's a terrible character. I hate him so much. You had to say outsider, and I got me going. Turns out that was one of my trigger phrases, was the Outsiders, because I hated that stupid ass book.
I love that book.
It was so dumb. It was funny because I had a tangent. Sorry. Whenever I was in school, they made me read it, and they made us write a report on it about why we liked it. First of all, I wrote why I didn't like it. So I mean, I still passed because same. But then because we had to write final thoughts, and I said my final thoughts are my only regret about this book is that all the characters lived. Or I'm sorry, not all the characters died, really, because there wasn't enough of them dying for me. I felt like we probably should have Game of Thrones the place up. You know,
Red Wedding, the whole fucking Outsiders crew.
I would have loved it. I would have loved it. I mean, I just wanted like an actual gang to show up and just gun them all down. It would have been perfect. It would have been a great ending to a really terrible book. It would have almost been like an apology letter to me specifically.
Alright, so back on a cultural else. I mean, there
are weird things that end up in the gamut of cultural appropriation. They had a what the fuck is her name? She wears crazy ass outfits all the time. Katy Perry ended up wearing a geisha outfit during a it wasn't even really like a full on geisha because she had like her hair more or less down.
Sure.
But she's wearing an obi. She's just wearing an obi, no big deal. You know, nothing flary or whatever or crazy. But then people were losing their mind because she was wearing something that wasn't something white people would wear. And I'm like, that sounds racist, actually.
Sounds super racist.
I mean, like, I feel like we might be kind of going in the wrong direction on that. Same thing. Damn, I can't remember what her name was. It was in one of these articles. I'm not gonna go look for it because it's silly. But hoop earrings, like big hoop earrings.
Yeah.
White people wearing big hoop earrings apparently is like a big faux pas for cultural appropriation because that's a black people thing.
That's a Latina person thing as well. I mean,
you know, when it depends on look, it's like going to the courthouse. You know, it depends on who gets there first. So whoever wrote the article first is the one that gets to determine whatever the offended culture is.
Which is horseshit. I mean, it's like you can't just claim a style. That is our style. You can't wear that. Fuck you.
Sure you can. Sure you can.
You can do whatever you want. Fuck it, yeah.
You can do whatever you want. I mean, like they're going to anyway. So I mean, just fine, whatever. And then I guess Victoria's Secret did a photo shoot where one of the smoking hot underwear models, she was wearing an Indian headdress, you know, and I guess like the natives, you know, all probably 4 of them that probably saw it lost their minds completely, and I'm like, okay, I mean, are you really that upset?
Which is really okay. So I saw this Reddit post.
That's our word.
That is our word. About this photographer. She did a photo shoot of somebody dressed up in a full Native American outfit.
Mm-hmm.
And first reply was, "Please explain to me how this is not cultural appropriation." And she's like, "Actually, this is, you know, the chief of this tribe's daughter gave me full consent to." Here's her, you know, Twitter right here. You can ask her yourself. This, that, and the other. Why don't you fucking calm your shit before you pull out the pitchforks? Because everything about this is okay. I can photograph shit.
Here's the thing. I mean, like, when are we ever, you know, when do we get to the point where, like, you know, we don't have to have somebody's credentials on whenever we decide that we're going to do something artistic? You know, I mean, like, it's like I think we talked about it last week, where, you know, just because like a rapper's never been to prison doesn't mean you can't rap about the prison system.
Right.
You know, the same thing. I mean, like, so, you know, I've never been to Japan, and I like anime. I mean, is that cultural appropriation? I have T-shirts and items that would be made in Japan in my house. Is that cultural appropriation because I'm like the wrong hue?
You know what that tells me? Cultural appropriation is really bad for business.
It is. I mean, it is actually the worst for business because then you got to think about, like, you know, all these other. I mean, 2 parts. One, it is bad for business because then those are a bunch of items that you can't actually sell to certain groups. The majority groups would being the majority of this nation, which would be the ones that are actually going to be spending the high dollar amounts of the money on these particular multicultural items because they don't think multiculturalism is a big deal. I'm sorry, they don't think cultural appropriation is either a big deal or is really a thing. Like the sewers, does that mean I can't like the Ninja Turtles? Right? So,
yes.
You know, yeah, they're green, like your poop. You know, your poop's green. You know, you just can't like Ninja Turtles now. Sorry, I hate to break it to you, but, you know, you can't infringe on the culture of the Ninja Turtles.
Of the sewer people.
You also can't enjoy pizza. Sorry, that's their thing. That's their thing too.
Don't even look at them.
Don't even look at them. Don't take pictures either, because they'll cut you. So then you have the businesses that can't make anything because they can't sell anything because it came from one culture or another. And goodbye my childhood. But then you have the businesses also that whenever they do make something that kind of like strays into like a non-dictated cultural okay, like you can at the present still make t-shirts of solid color. If you go anything beyond that, you'll have to answer to the thought police, and then they're gonna slap you in the PP with a ruler. But so then you have companies like, I think Gucci did it, where they made something that was from another culture. I can't remember what. I'm not going to go look for it. It's in the same article. Sorry, I'll link it later. Where they had used, I probably won't, where they had used an item that was from, I believe, the Sikh culture, and they were using it to showcase their items. It was an accessory that they were using, and they were unable to use it because of people losing their fucking minds over it. And that one I can kind of get because turban being like a quasi-religious thing, right, rather than just being like a piece of clothing. So I can kind of give it to him. The problem kind of comes in where like you go beyond just saying, you're right, we probably shouldn't have done that, to full on prostrating yourself before social media and begging for forgiveness and watching your stocks free fall the entire time.
Yeah.
I do not understand that. Like, if you don't, I always say it, I've said it here like 1,000 times. If you don't like it, don't buy it. Not that most of the people who are getting pissed off about it probably would have bought it anyway.
Right.
Because Gucci is stupid expensive. There's no fucking reason on the planet for you to buy Gucci ever. It's stupid. They should go out of business because their shit's it's garbage and it's ridiculously overpriced.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing with all the other high-priced.
Did you buy a handbag?
Shit.
Did you buy a handbag, right? I'm sorry. A clutch. You buy a clutch for whatever goes in a clutch that isn't semi-automatic, and it's like $700 fucking dollars. It's like this big, I mean, why would you even own that? It's dumb.
Where else are you gonna put your change? In your Tic Tacs?
Who the fuck has change? I mean, like,
that's true.
We go to lunch here and people are like, you got change for $5? I'm like, what? No, of course I don't. I mean, like, I don't. Who the fuck carries cash? I
only ever carry cash by accident. Like, I just happen upon it. I'm like, oh shit, now I've got money. This is inconvenient.
Yeah, I actually dislike having. I mean, I have change, and I guess like I have change in my truck in case I happen to accidentally get on a toll road. But I mean, other than that, I have no desire to keep any kind of currency on me other than my debit card. If I can't buy it, like, real talk, if I can't buy it with my debit card, I either don't need it or I'm going to steal it.
We get the desk for gentlemen, do not condone stealing.
I mean, we don't condone it, but
I mean that's a convenience thing. I mean, this is going way far off, but I think we're ready to segue to a different topic anyways, because I think we reached the end. But anyways,
appropriation is dumb. The end. You should always like Ninja Turtles, but you really shouldn't buy Gucci. It is stupid.
Stop being so damn sensitive. You don't get to claim a style. You don't get to claim your race for. You don't get to be the spokesperson. Yeah, you don't get to be the Al Sharpton of the Chinese people.
You see, you're talking about like, sensitivity. I think that's like the biggest problem, is that people are like hypersensitive and they're looking for a reason to be upset about shit. And I think that's the driving force behind it, because like you can't tell people that they suck anymore. I mean, like I know I think we talked about this before, but whenever I had people working for me, I was the opposite of that. I was really good to you if you did your job. But I mean, like, if you kept fucking up, I'll let you know you are worthless.
Right.
I mean, like, I've given you 6 different things to do, and you failed extraordinarily at all of them. Now you're fired. And I mean, like, and look, I mean, like, I know that You know, like I've had kids that work for me where they're like 17, picking their nose and clicking on their cell phone or whatever. I'm like, look, let me be honest with you, you're fired. No, stop. Knock it off. I don't care. When you grow up, when you go out of high school, no one gives a shit. No one cares about you. I'm like, you got to care about you, and you got to be a better you. Everyone in school and your parents told you that you're great, but you're not. You're a piece of shit. I'm a piece of shit. You're all pieces of shit. You got to make you better than what you are. And you choosing to be a piece of shit rather than try to be better locks you into being a piece of shit. So, the fuck out of my story.
Well, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was gonna say something on that. Go, Franco.
Firing people's fun.
Yeah, no, that's important. Whatever, we're done.
I don't know, but have you say it in a girl's voice? That's the Bosco voice. You can't do that. This is the wrong day for that.
Oh shit! And my days crossed up. No, back onto real talk. Back onto digital currency. No. I'm not talking about Bitcoin. I'm talking about convenience. Why do we still have paper money?
Because what are you going to roll up and do cocaine off of a hooker with? You can't roll up a Bitcoin and try to snort it off of a hooker's butt cheek, you know? I mean, it just ruins the mystique.
Good point, Frank. That's a great reason for us to sell paper money.
What are you gonna do when you go to the titty bar, right? I mean, like, and you get like some smoking hot 20-somethings up on stage, just like dancing her heart out. And you go make it rain with Bitcoin. You gonna throw her fucking cell phone at her.
Listen, here's what got an invention here. I'm gonna copyright it so don't fucking steal us, all right? So around the stage, you're gonna have little kiosks, little itty bitty kiosks. You're gonna have multiple tip buttons. Okay, 2 of each increment. You got $1, $2, $5, $20. You know, 2 of each. You're gonna fucking get in there. You're gonna stick your chip card in there, just like, you know, getting it all primed and ready, just sticking it in there. And then, when you're ready, if you want to make it rain, you can double tap. Pop, 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 pop.
So, but still dollars, right? I mean, like, still paper currency?
No, dollars as in, it's coming out of your checking account right now.
Well, that doesn't matter. That's not the point.
And it can shoot confetti.
It's important for everyone else, you know, that you throw the money in the air, so she has to crawl around for like 5 minutes and picking it all up, and everyone gets like, you know, free sideshow, and it's wonderful. Okay. Now, the only thing I would accept is if you had like a kiosk on the side, you plug your chip in there, is if like it actually shot out Bitcoins, like an actual tangible coin, so that we could have like the possibility of just surrounding the stage and then just bombarding somebody with a bunch of change. The fun part too about Bitcoin and things like that is that like you can like be like, I've got an Bitcoin, and then you plug it in and you're like, but I'm gonna give her one of like some random super low denomination. I'm gonna give her 1 Doge. You're like, bitch, I'm giving you $4,000. Oh, sweet. Flashes her titties all over the place, bouncing them on the stage like basketballs. It's weird. I don't know how she did it, but she did. And they just start like, and she hears it going off, but it's just Dogecoins. It's like you gave her like maybe like $1.25.
Freaking shooting out Dogecoins, and then also throw her calculator. Fucking figure out the exchange rate, bitch. Stupid.
Do you still have vendors here that you have to pay cash for here? It's I think as well an advancement of technology and the openness of access to say Wi-Fi, internet, e-commerce. Can you imagine? So like you go to anywhere other than America, and America is being like one of the most technologically advanced nations, I want to say culture, in the world, and then you go somewhere not America, and you're like, oh, well, I want this thing. You know, here's my thing.
Here's my card. Where do I swipe it?
Where do I slide it? And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I need you to give me the bill. And you have to like actually give them money. And you're like,
give them live chickens.
Well, I'm going to have to just go ahead and die then because I have no money.
I mean, okay, so I don't think that's what it is, Steph. I think people are just cheap. Like, okay, so people in town, like here, for example, there was Uncle Kenny's breakfast over there by the bait and tackle shop.
Accent appropriation. Look, I can do tons of accents. That's not my only one.
No, you should get roasted for
I,
that one.
I am a, look, two parts. One, fuck you. Two, no.
Okay. Well, I guess that's that then. But anyways, Uncle Kenny's. I used to love the food there. At one point, I'm pretty sure they took cards, but towards the end there, they stopped taking cards. And I bet you anything, it was in protest of credit card fees. Because the shop I used to work for, they're like, if they have they said, they have American Express, encourage them to use any other card than American Express because they charge 5%. MasterCard and Visa charges like 2.5. So you don't want to get stuck with a fat fee. So encourage, like, you're just being cheap at that point. But I mean, that's a whole different topic. American Express is gouging people, whatever. But when I walked into Uncle Kenny's this last time, which was probably like 2 years ago, they don't exist anymore, by the way. And I'm like,
I didn't know that.
And I'm like,
shit.
Spoilers. I walk in there, and there's a big old freaking. It's not even like a sign. It's like a notebook paper with writing on it that says cash only. I'm like, peace, I'm leaving. I don't have cash, and you're losing all your business now. Sorry.
So it was you would say like it was a fairly large piece of paper with writing on it that would be put on the door.
It wasn't a professionally made sign, Frank.
You know what they call that, right?
It was a piece of paper with writing on it.
They call that a sign. I'm just saying. I'm not saying, but I'm saying.
It wasn't like a fucking pre-made sign. It was like, I don't want to take credit cards anymore. Let me just write this up. And
how many places would make a pre-made sign that said don't take credit cards?
Well, I mean,
Did you pay for that with your credit card?
You have pre-made signs that say you will take credit cards.
I mean, I feel like at this point, if you don't take credit cards, you just really kind of like you
You're
deserve
doomed.
what you get. You deserve what you get. You know, I mean, you just you're going away, son.
Yeah.
Like, Uncle Kenny's has passed from us.
I mean, that, like I said, the whole convenience thing, it goes along the lines with, like, Netflix, for example. People want their product delivered to them in the easiest way possible. I pay for Netflix. Why? Because it's easy. And sometimes I don't want to know exactly what I'm going to watch that night. You know? I'll be like, I wonder what's on Netflix. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, there it is. No commercials. Cool. All right. I'm paying for that shit. Guess what? My movie's not on there, and I have to, like, get Showtime or HBO or something. I'm gonna find another way to get it. I'm gonna tell you how.
Like there's a lot of like another legal way.
There was a sign hung below the 1980 cash register. The restaurant closed due in part to rising prices of produce. And Kenny, oh, my bad.
Wow.
Now I feel bad. Thanks, Kyle.
Wow.
No, I just remember going in there. I'm like, cash only? Was it always cash only? And then I'm like, well, I guess we're not eating here today. That's all I could remember. Oh, what happened? Where's Frank going? Did we just in the Dastardly Gentleman?
What's the singular of Dastardly Gentleman? Dastardly Gentleman. You rude dude. The comedy we've done this.
That's all I remember. I didn't know all that. Damn, that sucks. All I remember is going in there and I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat that day there because I didn't have cash on me. I would have had to go to the ATM and come back.
Oh no! You had to walk. His ancient enemy.
I went to Del Taco instead.
Oh, that's definitely better. Yeah, you went from Uncle Kenny's homemade food to Del Taco. Savage. Steph says fruit stands. I will always pay cash for them regardless. I would pay cash for fruit stands so that, you know. Never mind.
Us small community folks would be screwed if we went to straight digital currency. I mean, because, look, I'm going to be real with you. Kind of sting a little bit. Because your economy is terrible.
Hold on. Can you guys hear him from that high horse that he was on?
No, I mean, like,
Don't hurt your neck when you look up at him.
why
It's like
wouldn't
looking right up at the sun.
why wouldn't you go? Okay, look, change my mind. Why wouldn't you go to a digital currency?
You're right, Jesus. We're all ignorant.
Why wouldn't you? Because you don't want to pay for the infrastructure? Because you don't want to pay for the upfront costs? You don't want to pay for the fees? Why wouldn't you? So the infrastructure.
We don't have access to Wi-Fi.
So you don't want to spend the money for the infrastructure.
I like how you're making her responsible for this entire thing.
I'm not saying you, like you as a person. I'm saying you as your town. Look, Kyle, you made me feel bad once. Just fucking rubbing salt in the wound now. So it's infrastructure thing, and that's fine. I get it. Okay, I've been in many backwoods small towns that were like, yeah, we still have you know, DSL here, and I'm like, so you get 3 megs down. No wonder why communication between our downtown branch and your branch is garbage. Because you're still cranking that shit up in the back.
You get like a hand crank. This is how you get your internet. Internet.
Look, I love you guys. Much shit as I give you, I love you all.
Look, I say some horrible shit. I never once said anything bad about Kenny.
Oh, here he goes. He's distanced himself from me, just like they did with Kanye.
I'm not saying, but I'm saying, you know, Stormy Daniels did nothing wrong.
Stormy.
Question: why do you think that she would decide to go with the stage name Stormy? Do you think it's because she blows real hard?
I'm not even gonna respond to that one. Listen, I feel for you, Steph, because as far as having shitty infrastructure goes, it's hot.
I'm not saying that I wouldn't be Noah, but I am saying that I'm gonna get at least 4 qubits into that.
I feel for you because if your infrastructure sucks in your small town, that means getting to watch our show is much more difficult. And I feel for you. You know?
I was talking to the people here because we're presently stationed in a small town. I want to say station because that's what it feels. And we're paying an amazing amount of money for not super great internet. And I'm talking to the lady, and I was like, so this internet's not going to go out, right? For how much I'm paying, it's not going to go out, right? And she's like, well, I mean, you may have periodic outages, you know, sometimes weekly. And I'm like, no. If I lose my internet and I'm paying like $1.75 a month for like, you know, 100 or for like 75 down, when the IT guy comes out and he just shrugs and says, well, just going to have to wait for it to come back. I'm going to Wicker Man your IT guy. I am going to nail him to the tree in my front yard and set him on fire. I'm not saying, but I'm saying I just feel like you should be a little bit more proactive.
Yeah, I mean, how hard is it? I mean, oh, it's really fucking hard. I'm not going to lie. Oh, sorry. Rose up, Frank.
Everyone died.
Okay.
We're doomed.
It's very difficult to get infrastructure out there, but you know what the bad part is? It's already been paid for. Already been paid for by the damn cable companies with our tax dollars.
Oh no, here he goes.
No, I'm serious. There was a bill for internet infrastructure that we all paid for. Guess where that money went? Not to infrastructure. It went into people's pockets.
All I'm saying is that it's very important that we all get all of our money to our internet like it's supposed to be. The top 1% are taking everything from us. We have no internet now. Everyone's in the Stone Age. We're handwriting receipts and we're sending them by carrier pigeon. It's not right.
See, I
It's
mean,
not right.
I know you're being facetious, but you're not wrong. I mean, let's be real here. Everybody should have amazing internet. Right? We should all have fiber by now. If they would have done with that money what they promised they would do. And in fact, it was their idea. They're like, hey, they actually fell for it. Let's buy yachts.
I think what's aggravating about the idea of fiber is that there's a fiber line that runs through here and nobody here has fiber. And whenever and we, you know, I find it bad because like that's kind of like part of our job. But then like I talked to like the internet people here and I'm like, what about getting fiber? And the lady looked at me like I was asking about like, you know, should I eat more broccoli? You know, should I eat like some salad or something? And I'm like, you know what? I can tell by the look in your face. This conversation is going nowhere. You can't handle the Bernie impression because it's so accurate.
I mean, that's an impression I can get behind.
Finally, Neil's not going to be a dick about my impressions.
I mean, the Hindu Indian one was pretty racist. So
what? That's bad. I mean, it's bad, but I mean, like, you know, look. Never mind. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
It's not racist. Okay.
Not racist. I have
it's an
two Indian friends.
It's an appreciation. Because I think it's probably one of the coolest accents. And it's one of the easiest ones.
I think we're good. We're going to do a couple things here. We're going to skim Reddit for real quick. All right. So, still talking about Chinese people wearing dresses. Let's see. How are you all doing tonight?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you for asking.
You got to do the finger thing, dude.
Yeah, I love how when he talks, he's like he's swooping down. You know, like
I'm gonna go into free trade. We're all gonna get the same amount of money for everything else, and we're gonna make colleges free for everything, everywhere. And if your car wants to become a doctor, it can.
You know, he swoops into everything. Yeah, like a fucking hawk, dude. I mean, like, caw. But like, you know, very low, caw.
Alright, so there was this mystery pooper. I think I sent you the link to this earlier. Mystery pooper at a New Jersey high school. Kyle, you might know this guy. New Jersey high school, there's a mystery pooper there. They've been leaving shits behind.
Well, okay, I need some background. What do we mean by mystery pooper exactly?
Like they were finding human shit like in places at the school. The cops found out who did it. It was the superintendent.
Shut up.
Oh, dead serious.
Wow. I know, Steph. I did. Well, because like I read Kyle's comment. It was funny. I almost died.
I just want to let you guys know, I totally played at Homedale High School, and we dog snot out of them. I played on that field like 15 years ago.
Wow.
I played on that very field.
Now somebody's pooping on it.
And I saw the article. I'm like, and my cousin actually ended up posting it. And I'm like, Homedale High School. That's interesting. What's the article about? This staff member is pooping. Random mysterious pooper. Interesting. And I was taken back, and I was just like, huh. All right. Well, I mean, I didn't need to see that today, but it's definitely interesting. I just wanted to let you guys know I totally played on that field.
That's actually funny. That's really funny to me.
Yeah,
this is fantastic.
I'm bail out.
Bye, dude. Thanks for dropping by.
I love you.
Yeah, dude. It was the superintendent the whole time, dingus.
That is some straight up Scooby-Doo mystery shit.
Literally.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but why? We need motive. See, now for something like that, it's like you need motive.
Well, here's the top comment to that thread. I bet he graduated from a rival high school and has been plotting this for 24 years.
That would make me incredibly depressed. If that was actually the answer, like the reason, I would laugh and then I would be sad.
Kind of reminds me of a scene from Don't Be a Menace, South Central. You ever watched that movie? Pretty sure you have. You said you liked it.
Yeah.
Where Marlon Wayans says, he's like, you know what? I'm tired of my black people always being held down. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go get a job. Job at the bank. Yeah. Work my way up the ladder. Yeah. Work real hard. And then after about a couple years, I'm going to rob them motherfuckers blind. Break all y'all cells.
That's funny.
Yeah, man.
I don't remember a lot of that movie.
I can quote the entire thing. The mad pooper has been caught. Alright, so that was an interesting headline.
Yeah. This week in Reddit. Boom, 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 boom.
Let's see. Desperate to hire, more business open door to pot smokers.
It's just like, to me, I mean, like for weed, this seems like a non sequitur. Like, okay, so
yeah, really.
Weed. Sure. I mean, like as long as you're like, you don't like come in and you're like scratching at your neck and like, you know, you're like sores all over and be like, oh man, I want a job. I can be a line cook. No, you can't. You're gross looking and you freak me out.
Well, that's the thing. I was actually going to say something about that because like one of the biggest like barriers to that whole scene was like I'm not even gonna put labels on it. People being like, well, what if a surgeon, you know, got really high, toked up right before surgery? Like, same shit would happen. They got drunk right before surgery. It doesn't matter. They're not gonna do that shit.
You know, I mean, like it's like same. It's not same actually, because like alcohol is way worse than weed.
Yeah.
As far as like, you know, being debilitatingly inebriated. So I mean, like it's a. When I said to me, it's still like a non sequitur when it comes to, you know, employment, whether or not you're employed. It's like, well, I got high yesterday. Like I am at work, sitting at my desk right now, and I'm gonna buy all the things. I'm gonna do the same job I do every day, regardless of like, you know, whether or not I smoke weed. Full disclaimer, I can't smoke weed. But like, I mean, like if I did, you know, it wouldn't inhibit me in any way. You should care less about gaps in employment.
Explain.
I don't know what you mean by that. I care about gaps in it. Oh, okay. I think it's what she means. I think she means between gaps between different jobs. So like, you know, like he left this job and then tried to get hired another job, but he couldn't because he was smoking weed. So that puts a gap in your employment record.
Yeah, okay.
I have huge gaps in my unemployment or my employment because I'm contract. So
yeah, I mean,
I live with the concept of gaps in employment.
Yeah, it's like they want full accountability of like every detail of your life. What have you been doing for the last 7 months? I don't know. I decided to become an artist. Shit, like it didn't work out. Now I gotta get a job. Like that. Why is that a black mark on your record? Because you don't have nonstop work history for the last 10 years. You know, bastards.
I would tell people, you know, why were you unemployed for 6 months? I became a missionary to an unknown tribe in the Amazon. Oh, well, how'd that work out? Couldn't find him.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that one that it's about fucking time. I mean, like, why is it such a huge deal? Why was it ever a huge deal? Oh man, we can go on for hours about that. We're not gonna. We actually had that conversation earlier today.
Thanks, Reagan.
And Nixon.
Nixon.
It was Nixon that came up with the idea, and then Reagan put it into place. Yeah.
You know what they need? Burn Hawk 2020. He's gonna swoop into the primary.
Stop it.
That's never gonna not be a thing anymore.
Okay, here's a good one. Boy Scouts are dropping the word boy from the name of their flagship program.
It's pretty stupid.
There's Boy Scouts and there's Girl Scouts, right? So...
Are they like putting them together?
I don't know. I don't- What do you think about that though? If they didn't,
I think that's. I mean, I think that we either need to do the same thing to Girl Scouts, or we need to cancel it completely. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna have, if you're just gonna have Scouts, if you're gonna drop, you know, the gender determiner, then you need to either move them together or you need to get rid of one of them. And Boy Scouts have been around a hell of a lot longer and does a hell of a lot more. So, sorry, Girl Scouts, you're getting cut from the team.
well, that's the thing. Is like, okay, apparently they cut off part of that headline. It's kind of funny. There's
Okay.
more. This is from the USA Today, by the way. Bang up journalism. Boy Scouts are dropping the word boy from flagship program. Semicolon. Girl Scout shrug.
Oh,
That's the rest of it.
I was a Boy Scout, so I mean, I went all the way through the program. So I mean, I mean, as a former Boy Scout, I find it extremely disheartening and disconcerting that it would decide to do that, because it takes a lot of, you know, we're talking about cultural appropriation, whatever, and that, you know, things that you do, things that you're part of, being part of your culture. Boy Scouts is definitely part of American culture.
Sure.
I mean, it has the, you know, the community base, the frontiersy, and whatever. Like, you don't have that in any other country in the same context that you would with the Boy Scouts. So, you know, to take the years of tradition and then to take it away, or just to drop it and then just be like, man.
Okay, so
I mean,
here's a little bit more on it. Cub Scouts will formally accept girls starting this summer. Girl Scouts are still just going to be exclusively Girl Scouts.
that's so stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another mark of modern Marxist feminism gone completely fucking insane.
Right. Like, here we are
And-
tearing down a boundary, and you're just, yeah, well, we got ours, so.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really what, like, the modern feminism's really been all about. It hasn't been about equality. It's been about subservience. And I think it's one of the reasons why, like, I can't get any truck behind it, because I'm like, I don't, you know, I serve no one. I serve my own personal interests, because I'm enormously self-centered and hugely arrogant. So
Okay, this is a big one.
getting Eagle Scout is amazingly fucking hard. I mean, it is one of the hardest things that you can do, because it takes so long, and there's so many things that you have to accomplish in the process to get it, like including but not limited to basically being by yourself in, you know, whatever wilderness environment that you're in. So I mean, like, the ability to go out and survive and not die, and then use all the skills that you learn going from Cub Scouts all the way to Boy Scouts, is really hard. So, like, when you get to be an Eagle Scout, I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, I bet you're an Eagle Scout. Yeah, that means that I'm one of the baddest motherfuckers on planet. You're welcome.
Right.
Because I mean, like, you know, it's an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah. It ain't easy.
No.
Not that I've ever done it, but I've seen the programs. I've seen people that have gone through it. I've talked to them. It's intense.
It's hard. It's really hard.
So, okay, here's a good one. This one's gonna make you really mad.
Oh, good.
Something we've talked about before, but there's a conclusion to the story, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, good.
Remember those guys at Starbucks?
I gotta go.
Here's how it's gonna go down. Starbucks has agreed to settle with the young gentleman. They're going to invest $200,000 to them in an entrepreneurial venture. So they're going to help them make their own business. Because they were trespassing in a Starbucks. And they played the race card. How do you feel about that, Frank?
You ever sit there and think that maybe Starbucks actually might be one of the most racist institutions on the planet?
Yes.
Because I think it actually has managed to somehow actually become more hateful and harmful to minorities than I think any other business has.
Yes. I will just say this, though, from a business standpoint. They were getting eviscerated.
Who, Starbucks?
Yeah, by the media. And, yeah, they were quite the pushovers in this whole situation. But they turned this media outlash into a business opportunity, not necessarily for them, but for themselves. I mean, instead of looking like, or at least to certain people looking like they were racist, they've turned it around for a measly fucking $200,000, which is a lot to us, but to them it's pocket change.
Sure. I mean, I get that, but here's the thing. Here's the problem. It's like with children. You encourage that behavior. I mean, you've chosen that now. Whatever people will do when they come in, as long as you're of a particular shade, that you're able to just get away with, whatever, and then you can take them to fiscal task.
Right.
And no reprisals to you, and all you have to do is break the law.
See,
and then you get rewarded for it. I mean,
you're not wrong, and I agree with you 100%. But that's from a moral standpoint. I don't give a shit.
No, I know. I'm not even talking. I'm not even talking specifically moral, but I mean,
a civic duty to set an example, or not right, even to set an example, just to at least have integrity.
I get the intent, but then at this point, how many times does Starbucks have to get taken to the cleaners and have to give a business venture donation before the government is going to have to step in and be like, look, this is horseshit. I mean, like you are being openly castigated by like an entire section of people that are taking advantage of you for no particular reason. And because here's the thing, this has broader reaching social effects than just, Starbucks got, smacked with the race card. Because it's told minorities that the larger the business, the more open it is to exploitation.
Yes.
And so then rather than learning, rather than doing, and rather than gaining experience, knowledge, and then moving forward, it's given them the opportunity to go, we could just go break the law at Starbucks.
Right.
What? I mean, where the fuck are we at? I mean, like, what world are we in now where you break the law and you fucking make money off of it? I mean, like, look, last time I checked, if you broke the law and you made money off of it, it's called stealing. Yeah, it's larceny. I mean, and this is no different to me. This is absolutely no different than if you walked into Starbucks and, like, rather than just sitting there and being obnoxious and then playing the race card with your goofy little scarf thing that you don't need, then you might as well have walked up and then just cold cocked the lady behind the counter and then just taken this cash register. I mean, because it's practically the same thing. I mean, like, you're still basically being intellectually dishonest in some way, or dishonest in some way, breaking the law in some fashion, and then being rewarded for it.
Yeah.
Financially, not even just like, pat on the back or like, or you gotten a better opportunity. I mean, like, they are giving them money.
Yeah. It's not okay.
Because they could just as easily just take that $200,000, like you formulate an LLC, you split the $200,000 between the two of you, managing partner A, managing partner B, or president, vice president, and then deep six the company, and then anything, or buy a bunch of stuff with that $200,000, go way past the $200,000, chapter 11 the entire company, and then you reap the benefits on the tax fall. You just made like tons of money for nothing. You've literally, and you've got a ton of stuff. And then you take it to liquidation sale, and you made more fucking money. So, I mean, like, what was the purpose of this exercise other than to show a ton of people that you can easily take advantage of a business?
Okay, so I'm reading a little bit further. They both settled for $1 each, with a commitment from the city of Philadelphia to set aside $200,000 for young entrepreneurs.
Oh, so it's for like a donate. It's a donation, like an actual, not to their business.
Right. Okay. So I read that wrong. I mean, that's what the headline said, but I'm reading a little bit further.
This goes back to what we were talking about earlier about media being more or less dishonest. I mean, it wasn't that they were being dishonest, but their headline and their top blurb is clearly misleading.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, I'm okay with that. I mean, like, if that's what they decided to do for. I mean, I'm okay with it, but I'm also not okay with it because it's still rewarding people for doing, basically breaking the law, and they still shouldn't have been even this shouldn't even be a thing, but it is. Whatever.
Oh man, yeah. grinds my gears. But I mean, okay, so it was their choice, the two men's choice, to donate it.
That's cool. Good for
So,
them. I mean, you're still lying assholes, but good for you that like you used your power, you used your your
shakedown.
race card baiting to do something quasi positive
Right.
with I don't know whatever intellectual dishonesty that you happen to be feeling, wielding.
I say, the audience got really quiet about this subject. We're
Step
feeling
disconnected.
the crowd. All right, I think we're good, man. What do you think?
I'm always good.
All the time. We got more response to that poop video or that poop story.
We do walk on eggshells with some of these topics, but at the same time, there are also things that need to be discussed. And if you're ever afraid of discussing a topic, that usually is the topic that needs to be discussed the most. Now, we try to remain more or less politically ambivalent. And this is kind of one of those things where we would normally not talk about, but this is like a really big deal from like a business standpoint. And then my biggest thing is usually ethics and moral philosophy. And this was one of them that really kind of pissed me off from all three of those positions, really. So that's why it was one that we ended up talking about a little while ago. So this was just like the capping off of that particular subject.
Right. That's the resolution for it. I mean, you have to understand from our standpoint. I do enjoy conversations like this. However, podcasts cannot contain me. Oh. Well, I mean, it's whatever. This is not necessarily an open forum, but we do appreciate your feedback. We do bounce off of what you guys have to say. As far as opinions are concerned, as long as you're not hate-mongering, you're entitled to your opinion. I mean, as long as you're not, like, asking for the head of somebody because you're upset, you're entitled to your opinion. And that's that's where we at. I mean, we've danced on some subjects that have been pretty sensitive. We've actually upset a lot of people. We've actually upset a lot of people, even within our own group of friends here, because we kind of spoke without any kind of thought as to what it might do to upset them. So we've taken a much more objective standpoint on them. Yeah, I do need to get my game in, dude. I was gonna do it today, but we take a much more objective standpoint on it, as far as not necessarily our opinions on it. I mean, we can't have a podcast unless we have opinions on stuff, but more so problem and resolution, flow chart, as far as it. We don't look at, oh, so and so of this race said something, oh, let's jump to conclusions and say they were, bad at driving, or they're a gangbanger because of the color of their skin or whatever. Like that gets us nowhere. So in speaking objectively and looking at the facts and making a conclusion based on that, we've found that being able to speak about this stuff is a lot more welcomed by our fan base.
That's what she said. That's what she said.
That says
I
more so
can't help it. Yeah. Oh, there's an N in there. Sorry, I didn't see the N.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. So that's where we're at. I mean, as a podcast in general, to be honest with you, when we first started out as Frank and Beans, thanks for that, Ryan. New Ryan. Which turns out there's already another podcast named Frank and Beans.
Sad face. Coincidentally, our production level is much higher.
Yes. We were pretty hard on the politics, and we were very cavalier with our views and opinions.
We were so new. We were young children then.
And we paid for it. So we've learned our lesson, and we now know that being so cavalier was something that people hold so close to their hearts, it's probably not a good idea in a business idea in staying as a podcast in the long run. So we shifted gears on that, and I think we are better for it.
I've always been better.
It's true.
That is true.
Thanks the talent. I'm just here. I'm just here to hold them on my shoulders.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But sometimes I poop myself. I see. I love talking about controversial subjects, mostly because I think that there's something that I find interesting, especially like I said, from like, you know, whenever we stray into grounds of political, ethical, moral philosophies. I love that. So I mean, like I could carry on for literally hours and have frequently done so, but I attempt to not do that on the podcast, because then, you know, Neil starts to pass away right before my eyes. His soul leaves his body, and he's just like, just shut up. And I can't. So we don't do that.
That's not true. We do that sometimes.
Yeah, but in chat though, because so I like type you out like my whole book about what I'm thinking, and then you're like, okay.
I'll read it after I'm done eating lunch.
I'll read this entire like novella of political thought whenever I get done taking a poop.
And I'll respond with a GIF.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah.
Steph says, I do as well because I live in an area where I am seriously a minority in open opinions. I can get very violent at points. Any sort of social standing in a small community gets pummeled because of your views on certain topics. See, I have had that issue many times myself. In fact, being who I am, being antisocial in general, I think comes a lot from that. Because whenever you meet new people, whenever you're in a crowd of new people, or like, say for example, when I moved to Oklahoma, meeting all these new people, and it's like, they always said, oh man, you're so quiet. I'm like, I just don't know what words I can say without you guys crucifying me, you know? I gotta feel out the crowd and bite my tongue until I know what they're okay with. I mean, I don't want to like put out my best shit on day one and fucking get tarred and feathered, you know? I mean, so I get accused of being antisocial, quiet, all that other shit, but it's for good reason. I mean, it's not because I don't have the capacity to talk at great length, because obviously here I am doing that. It's because I choose life.
I choose death.
I tend to be, depending on what's happening, I tend to be the opposite.
You like
because I am actually the guy that where someone will like, because we went to a bar in Louisiana, and there was this guy in there that was railing about his particular opinion, and he kind of turned around, he looked at me, and I went, "You are an idiot," and he was like, and then I'm like, now let me explain to you why I think you're an idiot, and I proceeded to dress him down in front of God and everyone, and then I got escorted out by my friends who were like, yeah, I think he's actually going to try to kill you, so we should probably go. I'm like, well, it's his fault for bringing up a fucking debate. That's all I'm saying. I mean, just because I'm smarter than he is.
Doesn't seem to have gone well. I mean,
fuck himself. No, actually, it worked out pretty good for me.
I mean, for you, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, you get into these heated debates, or even just debates in general. Like, when you're speaking to somebody or a group of somebody's, you have to have a purpose. You have to have an intent. I mean, unless you're just shooting the shit. And if you're just shooting the shit, that's usually about stuff you already agree on, or stuff that's small talk. But
sure,
if you're actually trying to be, I'm going to share my views with you, you gotta be aware of the recipient of those views, because you might just be wasting your fucking time. I mean, if there's somebody that like is so ignorant to the fact that they get their news and their information from one source and one source only, and you're not it, it's them that's trying to persuade you at that point, and no other way. So why bother? It's not a conversation at that point. It's a the speech.
Sure.
So
Sometimes that's how I feel whenever like I talk, when people ask me a question that's, you know, either politically charged or has to do with anything like on a subject like that. I feel because like I feel like I approach the subject in from so many I can cite so many sources whenever I'm saying something that people tend to just sort of sit there and just stare at me. And I'm like, I feel like I'm preaching, and I don't want to preach. I mean, like you had an opinion whenever we started this, and now you just sitting there staring at me. I'm like, we're not having an opinion anymore. It was just me talking.
right.
Hey, look, I know I'm a minister, but damn.
Steph says, well, that also brings up an interesting topic as well, because no one wants to debate civilly, which is super sad. I enjoy civil debate. See, that goes along to our number one complaint, which is education. And not just practical education. Education as to why education is important. I mean, like, you have to know why knowing things and knowing more things is important, not just being spoon-fed shit. So if you don't have that grasp on the education and getting more education, you tend to act like a caveman. You don't agree with me? Well, I'm gonna punch your lights out. Let's resort to physical violence. I mean, I can't beat you in a one-on-one verbal interaction, so I'm gonna punch you in the face. Like, and when you get down to the, swinging and the grunting and, I'm gonna kill you with my ignorance, it's caveman-like. And what were cavemen like? They were stupid, uneducated, because there was no education.
The only kind of swinging and grunting that I accept is in the bedroom. Okay.
Well, I read on Facebook that one time that something abortion clinics.
Abortion clinics are actually the devil's den, and that's where they take the unbaptized and they turn them into zombie monsters. True story.
Keep it alive. We have to harvest its brain. All right. So I think.
Or if you're camping, primal tendencies while you're camping are completely acceptable, because there are things outside that just they need to die.
With my bare hands.
With my bare hands. I mean, not like my bare hands, but I mean like hands
of a bear. Okay, got it.
Of a bear. Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this fucker up. Well, thank you all for watching, listening, all that good stuff. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you for hosting, Neil.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being the talent.
You know what? You're welcome.
So,
what can I say except you're welcome? Because I know Kyle's still listening to the show.
We'll be doing this again next week, like normal. We'll also have VTM on Wednesday, so please join us. You can follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. See all the pretty artwork that Jeremiah has done on both our Twitter, Instagram, all three, Twitter, Instagram, and our website, www.dastardlygentleman.com. Oh, baby, come back. And shoot us an email if you want, or send us a tweet. We'd be happy to hear from you. And tell your friends, tell your family members.
And if you have suggestions for topics that you want to hear us talk about, that you are interested in our opinions on, just, do the same. Let us know, because it helps us, because we want to talk about stuff that you guys want to talk about.
Absolutely. Until next time, we shall see you later.
Bye.
Hold on.
Look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh.